really are. I'm using the blender. I actually just downloaded Blender 4.5 came out. I've only looked at it briefly, but I think this is 4.3 I'm using. So basically the top screen, I'm just I just like with my mouse, just like till I get that up and down little arrow, hold it with my mouse, like grab it with my mouse, and I can move this up and down. And the reason is, well, the top screen is where my mesh will be, but I also want to have this bottom screen here because this is where we can look at the UV. So I picked a really easy model that's really just, when you split it, it's just going to be in two pieces. It's a dresser. It's going to be the dresser itself, and when I split it, it's going to be the dresser, and then the handles are going to be separate because they get a separate texture. So basically, when you separate a mesh, you want to separate it so that only enough so that you can really texture everything individually, and then you want to rejoin it after that. So this stuff on the right, we're really not going to be using too much today, I don't think. So again, you can adjust your screens just by grabbing and with your left mouse click, just moving. So you can have a million screens. I don't like to have a million screens because it's confusing for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this file here, this file menu, import, and I'm going to, and actually the object that I got is an OBJ. It's not a day file. So I'm going to find it, and I have a little folder here, and I'm going to import it. And a couple of things real quick is that it's really big, and it also, I believe, oh, okay, it is the right orientation. I wasn't sure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it, and then I'm going to use my oh, it's two pieces. Hold on. I'm going to go to my object mode here. So as I explained the first time, the edit mode has a bunch of different things to do. You'll be doing a lot of things under edit mode, but you'll also be doing things under object mode. And object mode is where you have move, rotate, scale. So I want to, right now, I'm just clicked on my scale, which gives you the XYZ if you wanted to just scale it like that. Or you could just use your S button on your keyboard, and that will be a whole object scale. So that's two ways to scale. So I'm just bringing it down to a more reasonable size. And then at this point, let me just look at it. I believe this is the front. Yes. All right. So I'm actually, I use my number pad a lot on my keyboard. So I'm using number pad, my 4 will rotate the whole object. As you can see, if you ever get lost or it's like really like messed up your view, just hit your number pad 1 and that will just basically bring you to a front view. So if you like get like messed up like this and crazy, you just hit your 1 on your pad and that will bring you right to the front view again. And also this little circle here is kind of like the center point. This actually looks a little bit still too big for me. Okay. 1 second, I'm just gonna look in world. Everybody can hear me and everything? Just making sure because I'm kind of like flying blind here. Okay, great. So, I'm just also gonna like scale this down a little bit more because I know it's gonna be super huge. Okay, so here's the dresser, and now I've already looked at it, and I always keep my statistics up, by the way, over here, because this shows me it's 2,986 vertices. And it's one object right now because it did come in as one object. Um, that's good to know that, and it's also good to know how many vertices it is because if it's 200,000, you'll never be able to get it in world. So if you subdivide it and make it a little bit more complex or whatever, you want to just keep track of that to make sure it's not over 65,000. Although the new Firestorm does allow you to upload. We've uploaded things like 100 up to like 120,000 and not had a problem, me and Jem. So anyway, what I'm going to do right now is I want to take this dresser, which is one object right now, and I want to separate it because I want to be able to separate the two different parts, the dresser part and the handle, so that I could assign materials to each one. So you can do a select all here, and when you see the orange highlight, make sure everything's highlighted, and then you know that the whole object is highlighted, not just part of it, and that will mean that you've selected everything, which is what you want to do. To separate an object, what you want to do is you want to use your just want to hit P on your keyboard, and then you come up with this little menu here. Oops, let me do that again. P, and you have 3 options: by selection, by material, or by loose parts. Now, by loose parts is a really loaded gun to do it that way because you might be separating it into 400 or 4,000 parts, especially if it was made on SketchUp, and where each thing you do ends up being a line instead of a box or a cube. So I always try to separate it by material because then you'll see. And when I separate it by material, which I just did, you can see that it now has two different, it has the handles are like these rounded kind of thin looking tubes kind of, and then the actual dresser. So that's what we want. So we know in this case that this separated it correctly for us because we want to use two different textures. Now in this case, what we are going to use this right hand side to be able to assign materials. And the reason we separated it is because we want a separate material for the handles and a separate one for the wood of the dresser. So let's look. I think yes, I have already named these. Now you can come in here, and if you click on these orange rectangles, that's actually means the mesh. If you see these little red circular spheres, those are the materials. So I have other stuff here from before, which I have like preloaded, all that stuff. Forget about that. That's for clothes and stuff. But these bottom ones, I have 2 pieces now, Blender Dresser and Blender Dresser .001. The Blender Dresser, what I want to show is you can rename these. So let's name this Dresser Wood. And then let's name the other part, or rather, oops, other way around, dresser handle, and we'll name this dresser wood, just so that we know which is which when we're assigning textures. So we'll start with the dresser wood, which is the main part of it. Now what you want to do is you want to hit your tab key. When you hit your tab key, you go into edit mode, and that automatically puts you into edit mode. See, you're in object mode here. When I hit my tab key, it will put me into edit mode. And that's so that we can highlight this, and then we're going to unwrap it. So we go into edit mode tab, and then we're going to hit our A key, and our A key will highlight that whole thing, which is the dresser. Now we want to now once you highlight like this, you're going to be able to see UV. Now you can't see UV right here because you have different things that you can select to have your screen be. This is under playback. I think it's some kind of video thing. I never really use it. I think it's used for animations. You just click on this little icon here, and you have all the different kinds of things that can come up into the screen. Really, all we're mostly going to be dealing with is the 3D viewport, which is this. This is already 3D viewport. And this split screen down here, we're going to change to the UV editor. Okay. Now, once you do that, you will see that you already have a UV, and it looks pretty good to me, of the dresser. And again, if you hit your A key again, it will highlight this bottom screen and highlight in orange, and you'll see that this is the dresser. You want to probably, at this point, there's different ways to do your UV. We usually use the most stable for us is if you hit oops, what happened? A, you use your U key for unwrap, and you get like different options what you can use for unwrapping. We usually use smart UV project because the smart UV usually is the most stable. I think it probably already is under smart UV, but let's see. Yes, it is. I'll just actually it wasn't, so you can see it changed a little bit. It's a pretty good. One of the reasons that I picked this mesh particular is it has pretty good UVs already, so we don't have to mess with it or anything. But if for some reason that UV doesn't look good, now there's different things about UVs, but you can see with this is you don't really have, they're not overlapping each other, which could make a difference in if you were texturing it or trying to texture it. You might get like too much shadowing, or it's much better to have separated UVs so that they're not overlapping and messy looking. And this actually is a very nice UV setup. You could see it's all squares, grids like that. And the places where you don't see it highlighted, or places where you don't actually have a mesh. Sometimes when you look at a UV, you can see it's exactly looks like as if you took a map off of a globe and laid it out flat kind of thing, and it just looks exactly as it would be if it was laid out flat, like a cube, for instance, looks exactly like as if you cut the cube and laid it flat. So this is actually a very good UV already. So, I mean, you just have to just do the U and the pick your type of, it would usually just be unwrap or smart UV unwrap. There's other stuff you could do here, but those are really the two things you probably are going to use the most. Like I said, smart UV is what we use. Now, at this point that it's unwrapped, we could actually go over here to the dresser wood, and I believe it already has a, oops, it already has a material, but let's take that out because let's actually just get rid of it, because I want to show you how to do it if it didn't have one. So here we have this, I have a wood texture that I want to use for the dresser. So what I'm going to do is I'm just, and you could see that it has no material because there is no red kind of sphere here, and that would show that there was a material here. Actually, these guys here show that there's like animations attached. This is something we use for, this is Avastar that we use for clothing. So all these little icons mean things, but for us, we're looking at the material. So there is no material for this dresser wood right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to just assign and create a new material. So we're just going to click new here, and then it's just going to say material. Let's name it dresser. We can just click on that and just name it dresser wood. And we can assign it. But what we want to do actually is, it doesn't actually have anything here. You could see it's just white. So I just want to go a little bit further down where it says base color. I'm going to click on this. And when I click on this, this menu comes up. And I'm just going to click on image texture. And don't get crazy, guys, because this is being recorded, so you can go back and you can look at this all step by step. But I'm just going to click on image texture. And what this is going to do is it's now going to give me an open button, and it will let me open images on my desktop and bring them in. So I'm just actually going to go here. I have a texture called walnut wood. I'm just going to go open, and boom, here it is. You could actually see it on the UV map before anything's done, that's what it's going to look like. You can actually see it here if you click on this little icon, these little icons here. This is actually is a wireframe, which we're not going to use for our purposes. That's just solid. But if you click on this one, or rather the next one, no, it should be this one. What the heck happened? Anyway, here you go. So it shows you, this is what it's going to look like. This is basically like a rendering. So that's great. So we've already, and you can see here on our little, kind of like our preview, turn to like a wood color around the sphere, and you could just hit assign again and it'll assign it. The next thing we're going to do now is we're going to go on to the next, which is the dresser handle. So I've clicked off of the wood onto the dresser handle, and now just, if you could see here, it's kind of hard to see because they're thin, but these little dresser handles are actually what the only thing that we're looking at right now. If you hit again, we're going to tab, we're going to hit the A key twice, and this shows you on the bottom what the dresser handle looks like. There's no texture there. And I believe that we have the gold. Well, I'm gonna get rid of this one. I think I have to go into object mode to get rid of it. Okay, and I'm going to click new. And as soon as I click new, I get this little red and black sphere that says that I have a material now, but there's nothing on the material. So I'm going to, again, go down here just till it says base color. Click on that. Click on image texture here. I get my open key. I can open up my desktop, go and find gold here, open that up, and then you'll see it has a little bit of a gold texture here. And all I have to do now is go back into edit mode and then just hit assign. So, and then let's see what it looks like. Maybe if we get out of, yes. So, okay, so now we have two pieces of the mesh. We have the handle and the wood, two materials. We have the dresser wood and we have wait a second. I think I made a mistake here. I did. Because you have to have them named different colors or different names. Otherwise, you will have it actually, in, it possibly might just look like the dresser would. So that's a good thing, actually, to show you. Hold on one second. Well, actually, it says material, but we're going to name it dresser handle and hit assign. Okay, so we have dresser handle with dresser handle material, and we have dresser wood with dresser wood material. So the mesh is named, the materials are named. So at this point, really, we would be baking our mesh. I do use this program called, it's an add-on. I'll talk to you about it after the class, but it's called Simple Bake, and because they did change, I do not like blender cycles at all. It's too confusing and it takes too much time. So Simple Bake is kind of like the old workbench, which got retired after Blender went to 3.0, so a few years ago. And Simple Bake sort of gives you those options without having to use a 2.79 blender, because there's a lot of good features for the, I just do not like cycles. I never did. So I do use Simple Bake. I will explain that after the class about where I got it and everything. It's an add-on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here now, and I'm going to just go into our render screen, and this is actually going to bake each of these two textures. So I'm going to, you have to be in object mode to do this, and this will actually give you some shadowing and stuff. I actually use Substance Painter for almost everything. So I'm going to go to bake objects here. It's very simple to use. I'm just adding, and it automatically will add it. And then at this point, I'm just going to hit the bake, and you'll see on the bottom, on this part, it will actually bake an impression of the handle. So you'll see it as it's happening. You should see it as it's happening. Well, it just made it like really dark, but you could see there's shadowing where the actual handles sit on the dresser. So, but we'll see that better after we bring this in world. Now I'm clicking on I'm just going to highlight, which is selecting the dresser part, and I'm going to be doing the same thing. Let's add the dresser wood, and let's just hit bake down here, and it should, now our lighting is pretty dark, but that's okay. You can see down here, you can see that it's baked the actual dresser with shadowing. What I did for the one that I made earlier is I just brought this into, I use Pixlr, which is an online program for image processing, and I just lightened everything up. So that's actually what I did. But in this case, now, normally before, again, when I was using 2.79 Blender, everything packed, all the images packed, and I was able to just to bring it in. I'm not sure why I can't figure out how to pack my images. I have to look that up. Like I said, I've been using Substance Painter a lot, so I don't use the Blender interface for texturing too much anymore, but I just wanted to show you guys. So with this, even though it's dark, we'll actually, we're going to take a copy of it and bring it in world. But what I want to do first, so we're done baking our textures. We have the handle and we have the wood. What I want to do is I'm going to select all here, and I've selected my handles, I've selected my dresser. Okay, I'm gonna just do Control J. Now Control J, let's go back. Control Z actually will bring you back a step, and if you really need to go, you can click on your edit here, undo history, and this says everything I've did since the very beginning of when I opened up Blender and imported my wavefront. It says every single thing that I did. And trust me, sometimes you do want to go back. We do it all the time when we're doing clothing because fall down a rabbit hole and you can't get out. So sometimes you just have to go back in your history. So that's what I want to show you. When we separated this, it has two pieces. See, objects two. Now I'm going to Control J. And now we're back to one object again. I'm going to export it just as a collada. I'm just going to name it Blender Dresser 2 on my desktop. I'm going to just, at that point, I'm going to also save my image. It says pack to memory image. Let's see if it actually does it. Let me export this again. Exporting it as Blender Dresser 2. And 1 second, guys. I'm gonna see if I can bring it in world, see what it looks like. This is a very simple, oh, it packed it. Okay, so there's my answer to my question about packing my textures. So I'm just uploading it. I'm making sure that I'm including textures. It's a very lightweight, actually, this Blender Dresser. I picked it's nice, mid-century modern. I mean, you could even use it. It's only one prim. It's only 5,930 vertices. And so it's really nice and lightweight. And let's see how gigantic it is when I res it. Okay, it's not that bad. Let's see. Okay, so there you have it. I have a one prim dresser, which I can do whatever I want with right now. And really there you have it, folks. I'm going to just let's see, I guess at this point we can take questions because I'm done really with the Blender part. But hold on. You know what? If anybody has any questions, if they want to type it in, because I have my my in-world voice muted, so I don't have an echo. actually, as we're sitting here, I'm actually, what I brought over looks like the I believe the um, baked texture, just the actual wood texture. I'm gonna actually upload a picture of the one that we baked in Blender. So I'm gonna upload an image and oops. Oh, before joining, what key is it again? For what next? I'm going to save my baked combined. I'll just save it on my desktop. I'll bring it in. It's probably going to look really dark, but we'll try it. Control J is to join. Control P is to separate. Um, I'll I'll go over the few the few keyboard numbers or letters that they use actually in a minute. Let me just upload this. Yeah, I think this is going to look really dark. I actually lightened mine up using Pixar. Oh, the key that you press just before pressing Control Z. I'm gonna have to go back. I don't remember. Let's see. I'm just putting in this. See, it came out really dark. But this is, actually, let me just, I don't know if, this is actually what it looks like, the baked. This, what I just put onto the dresser is what I baked in Blender. So you can see, unfortunately, it's really dark. I'll show you the lightened up version that I made earlier. You could just see it has a lot more, I would say like detail shadowing and stuff when it's actually baked as opposed to just like a flat piece. I don't think this is the one. Let's see. Maybe it is. Yes, it is. Um, and then, Nexus has some really good websites that he uses for doing normal maps and specular maps and stuff. Let's see, what they're going to say. I'm going to just look at my Blender screen real quick and see if I can figure it out. So, go into your edit up here on your toolbar and to look at your, not just your undo, but your undo histories here. So you can see everything that we did. The last thing that we did before we did the join was we did, well, I started to do a box select, but I don't really want to go into that whole thing, although B will put out lines like this and you can drag them and select everything by box. But in this case, I'm just gonna hit my select down here and do select all, and that will highlight everything that's on the screen. So select all will select your whole mesh. And kind of, you could also click out on the handles and then use your shift and click on the dresser and then do Control J. So I've selected the two pieces and did a Control J. For some reason, let's say I wanted the handles to be the last thing selected, and that might change how, your rotation looks and your movement looks sometimes. It's just like in World when you the last thing becomes the root prim. It's sort of like that. So if you had a really complex thing, let's say, and you want the last thing to be what you use for the rotation, then you could do it this way where you just select each separate thing. So like the dresser, shift, and then I'm selecting my handles, and then I do Control J like that. So I mean, but in the case of what we were doing is I just hit select all, and that will select everything too, and then Control J. So Control J joins, Control P separates. What else? A highlights if you're in edit mode. Tab puts you into edit mode from object mode. So I'm in object mode. I'm going to hit my tab button and it automatically turns it to edit mode. A key will highlight everything. Let's see what else. I said box for box select. X. Just got rid of a whole piece. What I was going to say about X will delete. So right now I have my dresser. Let's unhighlight it. Let's highlight. I'm just clicking on the handles, right? Let's say I didn't want the handles anymore. They're ugly, right? So I just hit my X key and it says, do you want to delete? I click yes, and all of a sudden I have this dresser with no handles. So you could do that actually if you have separate pieces, or you could actually do it by vertex, which is a whole nother ball game. But these lines are edges, and you could do a whole bunch of other things that way. I'm not going to get into that today. I wonder what that line is. Anyway, let me go back and world. Yeah, it's, you know what? It's just, if you just remember, your most important thing to remember is there's two most important things. Your undo history. Now, my undo history I have set up to, I think it does up to 250 things that I did, which you can set up in preferences. I'm gonna see if I can remember it. I think it's under system and here console scroll undo steps rather, right here in system. So it's preferences system. I think it's like defaulted to like some stupid ridiculous like 20 or something. No. Nobody does something in 20. 250 steps. If it gave me 25,000 steps, I would have it like that because you want to be able to go back. So if you set your undo steps to 256, I don't even think you have to save. You just X out and it completely saves it. Then you'll have all those wonderful undo histories to go back. And if you make a really bad mistake. Another thing is you might want to, and everybody's guilty of this, including us, you might want to do a save and just save, and you just can save it to your desktop as dresser blend and save blender file, and then you can, if something happens, like you get a power failure or whatever, and you say, oh shit, I'm in the middle, I was like almost done, but if you've saved it, you just go back to open and you go back to your dresser blend that you've saved on your desktop and just hit open, and it brings you right back to the last place you were at when you saved it. So you want to use your Control Z, use your undo history, save. Now, once you get something that you love and you know it's done, then you could just do an export, and you can export as Collada. Now, there's other ways to export it, and for certain things you might want to be able to use that, like OBJ we use a lot because Substance Painter doesn't like a lot of files, so we save a lot of our clothing as OBJs and then texture it as an OBJ. But of course when we bring it in World, we're going to bring it in World as a DAG file. So that's it, folks. Let me go back. Yeah, save as you go. Especially if you're doing something complex that you think you might not be able to get back. Save as you go, and you can get rid of it after you're done with whatever you're doing, but at least you have it. So that's it. Any other questions? If not, Gunnar will he's gonna be saving this lesson. You can replay it and whatever, and hopefully you'll get some tips and start trying to texture. I want to tell you guys one thing in World after we cut this off, about the simple bake. You can see that I get lost sometimes too. Okay, hold on. I'm going to terminate my share screen. Hang on for 1 minute, guys.